Thank you, Ajit.
Thank you. That's a very nice answer. I think it's
Yeah,
very measured answer as well. Thank you.
and thanks, Murli, for bringing that up. Um, because this issue is going to haunt us for some time till we are able to formulate some amendments to the policy. The one we did this year, as Ajit says, is driving us further down the tube. Um, uh, Sumaira is asking you a very direct question, Ajit, that of the CSRs that you have seen, have you seen impact? Are there some good case studies of CSRs having made a difference, of CSR funds having?
So lots and lots. We spend about 800 crore a year in total, a little more than that, about 900 crore a year in total. And so there's lots of really good stuff we do. And I think in the COVID time, for example, under CSR, forget about the business side and setting up manufacturing facilities for PPE, whatever, that's separate. On the CSR side, we set up wonderful systems for migrants coming back into Jharkhand from Bombay and that sort of thing. Because Jharkhand is where Tata Steel is, so they set up a tracking system which supported people. We see actually quite a lot of that, and we find a lot of difference in how it's done by a company to how it's done by a large NGO. And a company is, I find, a little kinder in many ways, and looks at, we have to get you from A to B. We have to do this, and we'll do whatever it takes to do this. And it's not a narrow thinking on things and so on. So yeah, to answer your question, yes, I see a lot of work that I'm proud of in Tata. I would like to think that because we did some work in Hyderabad city as well, and probably Amir has seen that from scratch, that from beginning to end, that relief distribution exercise and so on. So that's another thing, that how we do things. So many people have said it's not just what you do, but it's how you've done it. And the other thing I've seen about Tata is we like to learn from others how they are doing things as well. And we find that every relationship that we have, we bring in some things into our systems and so on from the organizations we support and we work with and that sort of thing. So a lot of work that I'm very proud of. Some that I think is very ordinary, I have to say, but a lot of work that's I'm very proud of, and a lot of things that are very simple but impactful. Not highfalutin. We don't understand the word empowerment, for example. We don't understand the word participation. We just don't understand it. But we find that when I look technically, that a lot of our work has made a difference to people's lives, and that's.
Ajit, Sumaira will know the work that you've done. Sumaira, you've been a philanthropist in the same work that Ajit and his group helped with, which was the flood relief work. I'm sure you've seen that. Ajit Sumaira is a big philanthropist, especially at the Access Foundation, where you funded this whole exercise.
So we probably met also, because Access Foundation, I remember we had.
You must have. You must have.
I'm really glad.
Yeah,
I'm really glad to hear everyone here, and especially Ajit Bhai and Amar Bhai. It's always a pleasure listening to what people, how soft hearts come together to do things, and especially I'm happy to listen to the results that you're proud of, and may God bless and keep doing the good work and guide us to. That's the only thing. And I really like the term when you use that Western domination. That's actually, taking into, it's gradually taking everybody's attention. And especially we see bigger companies like, when we see, should we take the names like Elon Musk and the Amazons and things like that. So we really don't know how to, how to deal with these things, the one centralized, power that's coming from that side of the world. And how do we, I mean, Amar Bhai did say that I'm a philanthropist, not that he does that every time. And I really counted that every time very strongly. But today I'm out of words completely. So how do we, as, the Occidental people, like you say, counter, and how do we, do you think the media would help in, I mean, help us in focusing into the real issues? That should the media play more part in, like, because we've seen the Western world coming as a, I mean, the philanthropists there are coming as a very positive personalities, but inside we don't know. There are so many questions going around. So yeah, so I really don't know. I mean, it's such a huge, confusing thing, and I don't know if I'm asking the right questions. Yeah.
No, you are, Sumaira. That's a question that we shall keep and address, in looking at how the media also influences philanthropy, where it goes and who gives. Ajit?
Yeah, so two points here. First is that I'm not soft-hearted. I do my job, which I have a job to do. I do it. I'm paid reasonably well, almost enough. They say that nobody is quite paid enough, but I'm paid almost enough, and a hell of a lot more than what I'm worth. But on the other side, I remember when I was in the NGO sector, we had this thing that the West have ideas, and we are just but in Tata's we don't have that inferiority complex at all. I just don't have it. I mean, it's not in our system. We have much more money than other people. We have much better systems. We can outshine any this thing, and we don't get into tables where things are decided unless we if we're putting in money, we have to be sitting at the table, and there are many such things where they try to get us, and just sign a check and they say sorry, no thanks, and
it's excellent.
we'll do it ourselves.
We probably, as Indians, are born proud people, and we love our background and culture and everything, and really we don't think that we need any we don't have to get influenced by anybody. So yes, and Tata's hats off. 150 years of service is excellent. We wish.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
And even were you?
Yeah. So I just wanted to ask a very general question. I mean, how is philanthropy evolving in India? I mean, of course, like Azim Premji, he does it very differently. He's got the foundation, then he's got the other entity which does, I think different things. I mean, it's very hard to keep up. There are some, I mean, Marico does something in some way, Piramal. I mean, every industrial house, I mean, as you said, the self-made people, they do something or the other. So, I mean, what do you see are the broad connecting points of philanthropy in India?
Anirban, I must admit, I don't have knowledge about this issue, so okay. I'm the wrong person to actually address this question to, because I don't deal with any of these people, and I have no idea what drives them, and including Ratan Tata. I mean,
So, I mean, anybody else in the group? I mean, Amir, if you have some background, or I mean, or if it is relevant to the group. I mean, I know we are out of time, but if anybody else wants to talk.
Even it is a very relevant question, and to confess, it is the answer to that question that we are seeking in this study. So when you dial in 6 months from now, we'll hopefully give you an answer to that question. It's a tough one. I mean, it's really very difficult to. I must again confess that I have had during my days at the Gates Foundation. Seen and heard both Azim Premji and Ratan Tata at close quarters answering this direct question to them on why do they give, and it was always a difficult thing to distill. I remember, I think it was Rohini Nilekani who was the most articulate, and she had some answer, but mostly people were not able to give a very coherent answer. But we'll definitely come to this, because that's a core issue really that we are trying to figure out.
But I think that's a nice thing, Amir, that we don't know why we do it. We do it. That's it. I mean, why should we have a reason or some apparently rational, thought out this thing? It's something important. We do it. That's it.
Right.
I mean, what I was looking at, instead of that, why does a person give? And that may be a difficult question to answer, because I'm looking at, I would say overall, I mean, like, let's say, and I don't want to kind of pick, let's say, the elephant in the room. Let's say, I mean, like, the way Reliance Foundation works is very, very different from, let's say, the way Azim Premji works as a giver. But if you aggregate, I mean, like, see, one of the things which Ajit said at the beginning, he said, like, these self-made billionaires, they want to change stuff, they want to do catalytic stuff, they want to change systems. I mean, that is, of course, I would say maybe that's the, I mean, like, the US billionaires or something. But what do Indian billionaires, if you just kind of, I mean, what is the commonality? What is, I mean, let's say, if, I mean, like, instead of saying, oh, this is the trunk, this is the leg, but what is the elephant of Indian philanthropy look like?
Yeah. You're re-articulating the question, didn't make it simpler at all.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Anirban, honestly, that is the academic quest that we have here. That can we, after listening to all these insights, could we then generalize and say that, well, there is a common thread, and it is, as Lalita said, that it is moksha. What is it that is a general trend? I think that answer is still awaiting us. It's going to be a tough one. And built into that answer is this whole debate on mandating CSR. Why are we, after all, the only country that managed to do this and have stuck on to this law for such a long time?
I mean, I actually put it in my chat window, but the Chinese government does influence. Does influence. I mean, like, like MNCs like us. See, I work for, as you know, I mean, like, the giving program for Qualcomm in India, and the same. I mean, like, our Chinese. I mean, in India, as you know, I mean, like, my head of Qualcomm, he is least bothered about what I do. Okay, small amounts of money, give it. It's I mean, you want to do, you do it. But in China, I mean, like, my colleague who manages wireless feeds is, I mean, like, she is far more strategic, because they constantly want to go to the government and say, oh, we did this. And there, the government actually says, I mean, like, in India, let's say, I mean, like, for the small amounts of money, no minister will entertain us. But let's say if I go to the secretary, let's say telecom or electronics, and say, I want to do this, he will say, do it. But in China, they will tell you that, go to this province, execute a agriculture program. Go to that province, execute a education program. So in China, it's very direct. It's not laissez-faire. So without a CSR law, they influence companies to do it. And it's very important for companies, when they represent that, okay, this is what they're contributing philanthropically to China.
Yeah.
And, Indonesia also has something similar. Actually, I manage programs in Indonesia as well. I don't understand the society as well as in India, obviously, but I do hear that they have some laws which kind of mandate some kind of CSR, contribution from some certain set of companies. But I'll try and find out from my colleague.
Thanks, Anirban. I think that is in China what happens, because I was in UN. I know a little bit of that kind, where they form at the national level, they form what needs to be done where. So they have prioritized their problems and what they need to be doing. And in fact, this also should be done in every country, because that's where you understand what is lacking in a particular piece in a district level or in a state level, etc. So that's where, if you have so much money, I know where you have to put your part. And that is how they strategize, or they optimize their investment in various sectors. So this is good. But on the other hand, if you look at how this has to be, because take, for example, India, it's a huge, do you want a nutrition? There are n number of things to be done. Based on that, you can either go, I think this is a problem of priority at the national level. Maybe the government should do. And they come, when there is any investment coming in, they should say directly, okay, this is what we need. With this amount, you can achieve this. So as Mr. Ajit or Dr. Ajit Chaudhuri was talking about, the result-based, monitoring or looking at that would perhaps be strategic in that fashion. Of course, you can do various other things, but this perhaps is the first step we have to do. And that has not been done. In fact, you're talking about Azim Premji. Azim Premji, about 7-8 years ago, that Insta Institute started looking at certain districts. Those districts are their experimental plots, if I may call that way. So, and all the investment that they're making in those 420 or 25 districts, and that is on everything, be it agriculture, be it education. So that's how they started doing things. So maybe they have strategized as to how they invest in their money, whatever that amount is. Perhaps that kind of practice is lacking in our own governments, our own state or central governments. And that is where we can attract people. If you, as Qualcomm, you want to do it, okay, this is where you can fit in well, which appear very good for me, because I mean, as a business person, perhaps you would like it much more than I, where your investment will bear the fruits much quickly and much better.
Yeah. So thanks. Yes, Anirban. Yeah.
I just want to kind of make one interjection here. Actually in Qualcomm, through Qualcomm Wireless Reach, we actually funded, I would say a lost project. It was a project to track, to promote clean cook stoves through IoT devices which track the usage of that. And the non-profit was a wonderful non-profit based out of Los Angeles, very committed. We actually invested for 10 years and we got nowhere. So Murli, my concern is that if the government had kind of does these kind of things of mandating. I mean, I actually like the laissez-faire attitude of government, especially for small amounts of funds that Qualcomm and other organizations give. We can do these kind of innovations, which would not have been possible if and also if you look at Murli, if you look at Fisher Friend, I mean, no other organization actually invests in marine fisheries. Of course, Reliance Foundation, they do a lot of stuff themselves. Tata's did something, through the TCS did something through their CIO office, but it was more a project as such. But I do feel that I do prefer this laissez-faire attitude where companies can do things on their own, because that way some innovations can happen.
Yes.
Than mandating that put money there. I mean, otherwise we'll get the PM cares, where you just buy ventilators which don't work.
Thanks, Anirban. Thanks.
I agree. I think we have to have some kind of both bills working in tandem. I agree totally. But if I were to be kind of looking at nation as a whole, then perhaps 10-15% of that appreciation can be done with that kind of model. But overall, I would have done in any way that kind of model where laissez-faire, not having laissez-faire, but the determined one. I mean, I agree, both are important, but at what level is a question that we want to ask.
Yeah. May I now get Lalita in? Lalita, who's the prime mover behind this study.
Not at all. Amir, you had mapped the study and I came in with one tail end. I found this very useful and interesting because the distinction between CSR and philanthropy is very important to bear in mind. And Ajit, I liked the way you provocatively presented the difference. It was very interesting, and I think it makes us all think. This what you were all discussing just now, there's something like 100 districts which are the most backward in India, and many CSRs are thinking in terms of looking at such districts. There's some such policy that some CSRs have mentioned to me. I don't know if it is widely thought of or what it is. But I do think that the purpose and the practice of CSR is very different from philanthropy, and we have to bear this in mind, and how we bridge the two, because both are forms of giving and both reach the same kind of users. The user profile, the NGO system is the same, whether it is getting money from CSR or from philanthropy. So it's like 2 or 3 streams that come into an NGO. So I think our understanding of the CSR sector, you set off a lot of points for exploration and research. So for our purpose, I think this has been a very meaningful interaction, and the points that Anirban, Murli and all brought in, I think they are very useful for us to keep in mind as we go on.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, all of you, for yet another deep insight. And as Lalita said, Ajit, thanks for bringing in that angle. And that is what we were expecting, given your background. That how does corporate giving merge into philanthropy? Is it philanthropy? When I am spending my money, is that philanthropy? Or when I am spending my shareholders' money, is that philanthropy? So that's a nuance that we bear in mind while we still grapple with this legal question on why we made the ease of doing business worse by adding another 2% of taxes. And as Ajit very delicately underscored the balance by saying that some had to be brought in, while some would have definitely done more than 2%, some we had to drag into the room. So there is an argument there that is a solid argument. With this, I must formally, on behalf of Plus Trust and the CDPP, thank all of you, particularly all of you who stayed with us, heard this brilliant talk, made your comments, and I will request Anjana to get back to you